The market here is going nowhere but up. We go out right now, you will see the infrastructure coming up, be it the footpath, be it everything that's being constructed, like left, right, and center. They're going full speed ahead. How many G classes do you see on the road? Lambos and Huracans and Urus. Every day, you see one of those cars somewhere back in India or in the UK or something. Wow.
Yeah.
But it's like, you have people who've come here, made billion-dollar empires, and then they fall because they let the success get to their heads. If you're a brand new investor in today's market, I'll put it down in two places. Today would be Maidan, District 11, hands down. I'll tell you what, less than 15 minutes away from the city center. We consider Dubai Mall, Burj Khalifa as the city center. Second, you are neighbors with His Highness Sheikh Hamdan. Third, you are neighbors to these massive villa communities because these villas started at 25 million. Apart from that, you have lagoons, you have gardens, schools that are already there, operational now. Now is the time that you'll get the cheapest deal over. That's Area A. Area B would be Jeddah. If I had anywhere between 10 to 15 million to invest,
Dirhams.
I would put my money.
Assalamu alaikum. This is the Work Optional Wealth Intentional podcast where we get some incredible market experts in different areas of the investment markets to give you an understanding of property, crypto, stocks, all these different areas of the investment markets so that you can develop your understanding of how investing works so that you can stop making silly mistakes in investment markets and you can multiply your money rather than having it lost to inflation and other horrible government monetary policy. So today we have an amazing guest, Abdul Jibran, who works in property, who's been in Dubai actually since he was born, Allahumma barik, and is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to property in the Middle East. Assalamu alaikum, Abdul. How you doing, bro?
Alhamdulillah, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, brother. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm excellent. Alhamdulillah. So I think we met at Custom Made Reality.
Yeah, CMR.
Yeah. What was it? What event was it?
It was, I think it was Luqman's.
Yes. That was a good event. Allahumma barik. So talk to me. Let the guys know who you are and what you do.
So my name is Jibran Abdul, and I basically have been born and raised in the UAE. So spent all my life, last almost 40 years in the UAE. What I do currently is we handle investments. When I say investments, we're looking at majorly in real estate. We manage wealth and handle portfolios for clients.
Okay.
Basically, we'd advise you where to invest your money, where you're going to make most money, when to exit and when to hold. Simple as that. Apart from that, we also work in acquiring and selling businesses, running businesses, profitable businesses within the UAE, mostly focused on Dubai.
Okay. Talk to me about when did your family come to the UAE?
When did they come to this is obviously from what I hear from my parents. My father came here in his early 20s. He came here looking for work, obviously. And my mother and her family, they moved here when they were I think they were around 12. My mom was 12 when they moved down here. So the heritage from my mother's family comes from Afghanistan. So my granddad, from my mother's side, they migrated to India. And then after a few years, they migrated to the UAE and to Dubai, basically.
So you're half Afghani then? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
My blood. Yeah.
Excellent. Allahumma barik. So what was it? So then when what year were you born?
I was born in India.
Okay.
There is this, they call it rivaz, like a ceremony.
Yeah.
Where the firstborn of the family has to be born in the mother's house of the husband's mother's house.
Yeah.
So my mother went back to India along with my father, delivered me then they got me here. I think I was less than 2 months old.
Okay.
About 2 months old, yeah.
And what year was that when you came to the UAE then?
Oh, back in, this was 85.
85, wow. Can you remember anything of Dubai and UAE?
Oh, yeah. We used to live in Al Tarama, right? It is one of the most densely populated areas right now. But at that time there weren't as many people. But the reason why Kurama is because earlier days, His Highness had built affordable housing for the expatriates to come here and live here and work here. So, all the houses were uniform. There were 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 1 living room, 1 kitchen, right? And they were affordable because they were housing from the government.
Yeah.
Really affordable. So we lived there in one of the first ones, not in the private buildings. We lived in the government building for a while. And from what I remember seeing the World Trade Center from our balcony, right? And it was this little, at that time it was like, oh my God, it's the biggest tower in the GCC. It's the tallest tower and the biggest building or whatever. And it used to be lit up with this, even back then, look at the vision, right? Even back then, he would light the building up from outside, right? And it was lit up in a nice, like, orangish, yellowish color, and you could see it from miles away, right? Alhamdulillah. And what else do I remember? I remember the airport because my mom.
The same airport, the main airport.
No, so there was the Terminal 1. If you remember where the Terminal 1 is now.
Okay.
The airport was there. So part of the old airport building has been incorporated into the new Terminal 1.
Okay.
Right? And as my mother used to work for Emirates Airlines, so we used to travel using her tickets, of course. So I remember the airport. I remember their uniforms. I remember the police. You should see these police cars the early days. They are still how friendly they are today. They were same way. They were friendly back then as well. I remember getting a lift from the cops once. I went for tuitions, right? And I used to walk. We used to walk a good 20, 25 minutes from my apartment till where the teacher's house or the tuition teacher's house was. I remember coming back on the way. It was in the evening, and I saw the police car, and I just stopped them down because I was tired. I was like, "Can you drop me here?" And he's like, "Where do you stay?" I was like, "I stay in this building." He's like, "Okay, come." I sat in the police car, and they dropped me home right outside my building. And mashallah, they've been helpful ever since I remember. Everyone. The building behind us was called the defense building. Yeah. Because all of the locals who were working in the army, their families were there, and many of them working in the police, their families were given accommodation in that building as well. So I grew up around Arabs. I grew up around locals, right? Because the building right behind us was completely defense personnel families.
How's your Arabic?
It's all right now. It was better before. I'll be honest with you. It was much better before. I have kind of lost it. You stop practice and everything goes rolling down. But I can get by. Yeah, I can get by.
Awesome. So when did what were the lessons that you were raised with that got you into real estate and that kind of stuff?
So when it comes to work, obviously, the thing is, I started early, right? I started when I was 15 years old. We weren't doing that great. My father's business had just taken a plunge.
Okay.
And
what year was that?
And this was early 2000s. I'm thinking 2002, 2003, approximately, give or take. And I had just completed high school. And I remember that they couldn't afford to send me to junior college at the time. So I just went out and looked for work. Mm-hmm. So I was interning with a couple of companies. The company that I liked after a few months was into logistics. So I was working in a logistics company, completely internship, mainly just to learn and understand how things are. There wasn't any labor work in the beginning, hard work, but then I kind of wanted to get into it. Mm-hmm. So I started helping the workers out more, and because I wanted to learn how to operate certain machinery, like the forklift, or they had a certain manual lifter that works. So I started working earlier, much earlier. Moved out from there a couple of years later. As soon as I hit 18, I started looking for a corporate job, that pays well and stuff like that. So I got into events back then. Well, the target was events. But obviously, they put me in sales to try me out.
Okay.
And then I worked for the same company for about 12 years.
12 years.
12 years, I've
So-
probably worked in every single position that company had to offer, except the managing director
Okay.
and except finance.
Okay. So you went in straight into sales at 18 years old?
At 17 and a half.
17.
Yeah. Almost. I mean, I went into sales. It was more because I was a people's person,
Mm.
right? While I was working in logistics before that, you had to manage many different kind of people. You're talking about truck drivers from Peshawar. You're talking about truck drivers from Pakistan, from India, from Punjab, right? You're dealing with different kind of people. Now, this is from the staff point of view. Look at the laborers' point of view, people who are working on the ground. You're people from Hyderabad, people from Kerala, people from Kashmir, people from Bangladesh. You're dealing with many different kind of people. And you have to understand, these people worked in the sun for most of the day. So the blood pressure is already high. So managing them, getting work done from them was a task in itself. So you have to, you kind of slide into the role where you're kind of balancing all of their moods along with making sure that they are at their highest and most effective productivity levels. You know what I mean? So that helped me to learn and handle people in the right way. So when I moved into sales earlier, I remember on the first day of my of that job, they just gave me a list and gave me a phone and they said start calling. And I was like, what is this? No, what am I
No
calling
script?
for? No script.
No script.
No script. I had the brochure of the event in front of me
Mm.
and I saw the brochure in front of me and I was like, what am I doing? And I remember the first number was Germany.
Okay.
I remember the first number I had to call was Germany, +49. And they gave me a brochure, like just start call, speak to this person, try to get past the secretary and just make sure you talk to them about the event. And they'll ask you a few questions, open the brochure, look here, you have the USPs here and blah, blah, blah. All right, fine. And I started calling and it was halfway through the call, I realized that specific ticket or seat was worth $2,500. That was my first ticket sales, right? I'm like, and I remember thinking to myself, while I'm on the call, while I'm having this interesting conversation with a person in Germany, would people really pay $2,500 to attend this event? You know? And I remember I got off the call because we scheduled another call and he asked me to send some stuff over. And then I studied. So there was no training. There was no formal training. I studied the brochure. I understood. I looked at how many events this company's done previously, how many were on the same price range. And it was shocking to find out at that time, at 17, 18, I'm looking at people paying $3,000, $4,000 to attend a 2-day event. Why would they pay so much? And then I start digging in a little bit more. They want to meet the right people. So again, it all comes down to PR, right? So started off with sales. By the time I was, I think about a year down, I was in sales with them. I got promoted. I got bumped up to a senior salesperson. Worked in the sales for I think about a year and a half, and then I moved on to other places within the company, bigger roles, with more responsibility, until I reached the event management side of things, because I liked the whole operations and getting sure things are happening. You know, it helped me, or it allowed me to be more creative.
It expands your mind, doesn't it? Because managing events is incredibly stressful.
Oh yes,
Massively stressful.
and that time when I was on the ground, it was the best time of my life.
Like organizing events, like managing.
When I'm on the ground, making sure, all right, because you walk into a room which is empty, it's bare, right? You have to visualize how the seating arrangement's going to happen. You have to visualize how the stage is going to be setting up, how the lights are going to set up, how the sound, where you're going to, set up your control panels and things like that. Now, when I used to see everything come up, it was a whole different feeling altogether. So, alhamdulillah, that was fantastic. And like I said, those 2-3 days on site during the events was the best few days I used to look forward to every month or every other month. right? So yeah, events was one thing. And while I was doing that, I had invested with a friend in a small skincare business as well, where we were importing products from Thailand and from Philippines and distributing and selling them over here in Dubai. It started off as a pet project, but yeah, that grew into something substantial. So yeah, events, and then I resigned. I think it was 16, 17. I think 18 around that time.
2017.
2017, 2018, around that time. Because I was completely focusing on other things. And in 2016 was when I got into real estate. And I got into real estate wholly and solely because I wanted to save money on my rent. Right? Because rents were going up and I had to find another way. So when I got into real estate, I understood that there was some business models in the leasing and subleasing areas that could work, right? And plus, I was living in a shared apartment, right? Where I had one small little room for myself at the time, and I wanted to save that money as well. You know what I mean? Because I was looking at where can I get more money and just invest in my distribution business. And so I took the leap and I got my first property in 2016. And I still have the property, by the way.
What size? Where was it?
So this was a 3-bedroom apartment, right? And this was in Birdby,
Okay.
Dubai.
Okay.
Yeah. And so what I did was I was living in the living room, right? Because the living room had its own door. It had its own toilet on the outside. I'm a guy. It's all right.
Yeah.
And then I had 3 other bedrooms, which I rented out.
Right. Okay.
Right. So there were like a couple in one of them. There was a single guy in one of them. And then there was another couple. There was a girl and then her husband joined her later on. So it started off like that. This is in 2016. And after that, I thought, I need to get into real estate, like full-time real estate, right?
So the tenants were covering all of did you buy that property?
No, I was leasing.
You were leasing it, right? And what the tenants were paying was paying off your lease, right? They were paying you.
They were paying me.
Okay.
So I was not only saving my money on my rent, but I also didn't need to pay anything from my pocket when it came to utilities.
Brilliant.
Be it gas, be it electricity, water, internet, just getting the cleaning done, getting maintenance done. I didn't have to pay anything from my side.
And did you make any profit, or was it just about breaking?
In the first one, it was breaking even. Right?
Which is
property,
pretty amazing.
It was perfect. I was not paying anything for rent, right? And I made sure I checked a few boxes because obviously there were other people doing the similar business, but they were cramming people up. You know what I mean? In one room, there'd be like 4 or 5, sometimes 8 people in one room. But I kept it to a limit of maximum 2. And I got cleaning done. And I made sure that safety aspects were looked at in terms of appliances in the kitchen, electronic points. They weren't allowed to install anything additional than what they were supposed to. People weren't allowed to bring in additional appliances into their bedrooms, like microwaves or fridge. No. Use the one in the kitchen. Otherwise, nothing else. Not in the bedrooms. You want the maximum I allowed them to install in their bedrooms with TVs. And that's about it. So I kept it clean. I kept it, safe, I started looking at that business model a little bit more through the magnifying glass because I saw the success. And then I started looking at other properties where I wanted to go and manage properties for local owners, right?
You're doing the leasing?
Yes.
Okay. So you started off with the leasing, yeah?
Yes. That was the first ever, 2016.
And then you moved to?
Then I moved to management, leasing, but buildings. So I started managing complete buildings or, they call it villas, but they're not really villas, down in Satwa. They're not really villas. They're like 3-floor or 2-floor villas, which have separate entrances, like they're separate apartments within the villa. So I started taking those, started renting those out.
So were you still leasing at that point?
Yeah.
You were still leasing. How many did you get to? Like Have you leased quite a few buildings and units?
I've never said this online, but yeah, that was always the first time. I reached up to 36. I reached up to 36 units.
6 units.
So that's when you count the building, obviously you're counting each unit within the building individually, right? So about 36 is what I reached up to. This was just to.
You okay talking about numbers at all?
Yeah. Like we can just talk about the ballpark figure.
Yeah, ballpark. So how much was that bringing you a month?
So if we look at percentage-wise, right, it was cheaper back then.
Okay,
it was cheaper to rent out buildings back then. And obviously people needed, the problem is, I identified a problem. I identified the problem where you have people, executives, who have a salary of 3, 4, or 5,000 dirhams, and they don't have a place to stay, right? So they wanted to stay close to their work, obviously, so that it cuts down the travel time, but they couldn't afford the properties close to work or even 30 minutes away from work. They couldn't afford those, right? Because they had to either take a minimum, which was a studio. But again, even if the studio was affordable, what happens is these guys weren't sure if their jobs would, if they would sustain those jobs. So they couldn't tie themselves into a contract. You know what I mean? So they would kind of get worried that, if I tie myself into a contract and if I break that contract, then I have to pay a 2 months penalty, 2 months rent as a penalty. And then I'd probably lose my deposit. I'd probably have to buy all the furniture. So I'd probably have to sell it for peanuts. So they had to pay the rent up front, right? And the most usual rent scheme is usually 4 checks, which is you have to have 3 months of worth of rent ready in the beginning before you move in. Then you have to give a deposit, which is 5%. Then you have to give a commission to the agents, the companies that are handling the apartments, another 5%. So that's 5% deposit, 5% commission. Then you have to buy all the furniture because these places aren't furnished. Right? So when it comes to the furniture, you're obviously looking at your usual stuff, your beds or your mattresses, your cooking appliances. You have your cooking range, you have your fridge, you have your microwave, because this stuff didn't come with apartments. Now they started, because when you buy an apartment or when you rent a high-end apartment or even a mid-range apartment, you get the white goods along with
this. Yes, that's right.
Right? You didn't get that before, right?
Still in Sharjah, Ajman.
Yeah, you don't get that, right? Yeah. So people didn't want to invest that kind of money in. So they were okay to pay a few hundred dirhams more every month, but without being in a contract, right? So that's how.
So they were paying you monthly.
They were paying me monthly.
Oh, just a rule.
I would put the money up. I would put the money up in advance. So I would pay the checks, the 4 checks. Some places I've paid 2 checks as well. And I would get the entire apartment furnished. And yeah.
Love my body. So that was 36 years. So that's phenomenal. And have you maintained that since, or have you got rid of those?
No, I have gotten rid of some, right? And obviously the new business model that came in, that we could have hostel licenses, we could have the vacation home licenses. Right. They worked out really well. I think that was a brilliant step in towards this, because the thing is, you have to
explain those licenses.
So the hostel licenses or vacation home licenses, right? Hostel license where you can actually run a hostel from a certain property. Given obviously you need to have the contracts in place. Yeah. I always had it in all my contracts.
So there are hostels in UAE?
Yeah.
Oh, right. What kind of hostels?
So there are villas that have been converted into hostels. There are small buildings that have been converted into hostels. So
they're daily, you can pay for like a day or something?
No, it's a monthly. The ones I know are all monthly.
Okay.
All monthly.
So who stays in these? Is it workers, or is it like...
No, they're executive level people. You have Europeans, you have the Indians, you have Pakistanis, you have Bangladeshis, Chinese, Singaporeans. I've seen people from all walks of life.
Okay.
Like the thing is, they know they're here for a couple of months. So within the hostel, you have a few different options. You can either rent a bed, right? Where the bed space is not like your typical bed space that you would see on social media. These are like good, well sought after, safe bed spaces, right? Obviously, men and women
shared with men.
Only so if men, then you'll only be living with men. Okay. So there are dedicated hostels. Like for example, one of our common friends, Brother Haitham, he focuses only on women when it comes to certain areas. Right. Then he focuses only on men when it comes to certain areas. Right. Same thing with me. Same thing with everyone who does this business. because you want to keep them separate.
Yeah, of course.
Simple as that. The only places where the place would be shared with men and women is usually with couples, right? The apartments which have couples on them, like just brand new couples off the boat looking for, like probably the husband has a job, the wife doesn't have a job, or the wife has a job, husband doesn't have a job, looking for something. So those are the mixed apartments that there would be. And usually those apartments would be where, you'd have the least amount of attrition, like people moving in and out. They would stay for years at times. They would stay for years. Yes, the margins have significantly dropped over the past few years, since COVID, actually, right?
Is that?
The thing is, with COVID, I remember there were many of my tenants who just called me and said, "We lost our job. Oh, what am I going to tell them? Get out? I can't, man. I can't." So I knew I paid the rent up to the contract, or, I had paid the rent up to a certain amount. And the owners knew about the situation. They were really helpful, right? Alhamdulillah. I didn't ask them for any additional favors apart from certain contracts. I just asked them to let me exit. I've paid you for the next 3 months. I've paid you for the next 2 months. Can I exit after that? And I'll fix everything up. And they were very kind and helpful to let me do that in some contracts. So I exited from a few units. I went down to, I think it was 17. Yeah, I went down to 17 in COVID, or I think lower, if I remember. But it was okay. Alhamdulillah, I'll tell you something. I didn't feel the pinch. Yeah, the money stopped coming in for a few months. And because that's how this business works. It's a cash flow business. It's not where you're going to make your millions. Let me tell you straight up. It's not where you're going to make your millions and millions unless you are doing it in volumes, where you have 6 buildings, 8 buildings, 10 buildings. That's when you start hitting those big numbers.
How difficult is it to scale to that point?
It's very easy.
Okay.
It's very easy. The biggest lie is that they tell us in anything, it's not that simple. That's the biggest lie they tell us.
I heard, I think it was Alex Hormozy who said that when you're thinking about scaling your business, think 100x rather than 2 or 3x, because it's easier. And I'm not going to explain it the best way as he explained it, but in some ways it's actually easier to consider the big picture rather than trying to just think of like, how do I double my business? Think of it first, how you're going to plan to 100x your business. And then it gives you an idea of the big picture, and it makes scaling a lot easier. And then you'll hit that 2x really easily.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Then 2x is dust in front of you. You know what I mean? It's like nothing. Even 10x becomes like, it's okay. Yeah. My target is 100x. Yeah. So, and the thing is, look, I mean, I know I keep saying this, but the environment here, the support from the different verticals in the government, the support that you get to 100x your business or 50x your business is phenomenal over here. It's phenomenal. Like, for example, if I would take one building, look for another building, I would easily be able to go around and show this proof that, all right, I have these 2 buildings to the owners of said buildings, new buildings that I want. And I was like, look, I'm managing these 2. I'll manage yours. These are my pictures. I'm taking care of the building, blah, blah, blah. And they'd be like, yeah, let's do it. All right, I want this much. Can you arrange it? Like, again, when you show them proof, they would negotiate more, it get more comfortable from their side. They'd start trusting you more, right? And it's because you have a proven track record, right? And then getting a license, getting this payment, getting visas, getting another staff. For example, I ran out of the staff quota on my license, right? I think I had about 4 or 5 or something, and I ran out, right? And I needed more, and I knew that I would need about 10 more, at least over the next year and a half. And I remember the PRO, the guy who handles my license work and everything, I told him I might need about 8 to 10 if I'm being conservative. He's like, apply for more just in case you need it later on. You won't need to come and apply and pay again. So I applied for more, much more, and I got it approved. I got most of them approved, like 80% of them approved. And yeah, it was just, that's one of the things, right? Opening another branch, opening another bank account. Like now it's much easier than it was back in those days, by the way.
Yeah, fair
Corporate
enough.
bank accounts and everything. Now it's much easier. I just opened another bank account. It was all done online.
Which one?
WEO. WEO business. WEO
Wheel's good.
business.
The only issue is if you have like something you need to go in branch, obviously they don't have in branch.
No, but then they have the FAB branches, right?
Yeah,
They have the FAB branches. Huh?
yeah, that's true.
And the thing is, it's okay most of the time because everyone understands the distant working thing. Like, so anything happens, you just take a picture and you send it, or you just, send them proof and everything. Usually it's fast. Now, COVID, one of the positive effects of COVID was that people are responding faster to emails. They respond to calls much faster. More issues are addressed immediately. But again, personally, I feel that it's more easier now than it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sure it always will be, right?
Yeah.
But do you know the point you made about how the infrastructure and the government help with everything?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
This is something that you don't see in the West, right? Because it's frustrating because it's common sense that when the infrastructure, the government support the businesses in their country, it's going to come back and support the economy.
100%.
And that's one of the main reasons why Dubai has become one of the biggest and strongest economies potentially, especially from real estate, right? You'll know this better than me. But countries in the West, right, they will refuse to invest into companies and they will actively penalize you when you're growing a company. Like, obviously,
it's not just in the West, brother.
Exactly.
It's not in the West. I tried to open a company in India a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
I had a company in the Philippines a few years ago, right? I had to pay taxes before I even did my first sale. I had to pay taxes in the Philippines. All right. I'm not demeaning anyone here. However, I am spitting facts. It was the hardest place for me. I've done enough business in other places as well, but it comes to actually legalizing the business and, making sure that everything's fine because I'm an expat over there as well. I need to make sure that my interests are protected along with my stock because I'm going to be spending a significant amount of money on stock and saving stuff over there. So I want to make sure that I'm protected. And the licensing structure was just a pain in my backside in both the places. All right. It was easier in India, just set everything up, right? But too much red tape, right? Oh, this chart, oh, that chart. You have to get this document. You have to get that document, blah, 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 blah. And then they give you the forecast of the tax. I have to pay half of what I earn in taxes or a little bit less than half. Are you nuts? And this is from someone who's lived and worked and has a business in Dubai already, right? I'm like, why do I even need to open an office over here then? Why do I need to open a business here? Like, I'll just operate from Dubai, because I wanted to, we were thinking of starting a manufacturing unit in India for a certain type of metal product, steel product. And when we went to do all of this, we're like, so basically, long story short, we didn't set up the company. We just outsourced the business to an existing company over there, which saved us hundreds of thousands of dirhams and everything. And we didn't pay taxes in India at all. We just manufactured over there and then we exported it from there. Simple as that. So that was the best thing. When it came to other countries, like for example, Philippines, I just stopped pursuing it.
Because it was so difficult.
It was so difficult. And then the guy who was handling, so there was a guy and then there was a girl. There was a girl who was handling the legal stuff and then there was a guy who was handling the PRO stuff here, right? And the process took 6 months, man. 6 months to open a license and get my account up and get my stuff up. And within that 6 months, I just decided I'm done.
Do you know the issue is that I think governments are trying to get ahead on the taxes, right? So they're getting income. But what they don't realize is that when you're penalizing business owners, is you're affecting their motivation when half of, or just under half of your income and your business revenue goes away in taxes. That affects obviously how quickly you can grow the business, which then affects the economy. And then your motivation for the business like drops like half of what I'm making. Like a lot of our clients are dentists from the UK, and I think the average tax rate of a dentist between different tax structures is approximately 30 to 40%.
Oof.
It's shocking.
Similar to
Absolutely
India.
shocking.
Similar.
So imagine you're working that hard, and then what? 4 months of the year you're just working for the government. Well, what motivation do you have to continue growing, and
And what do you get in return
what do
for
you get in
that?
return? Exactly, you get crappy roads, right? You get crime. You get it's no safety at all, right?
How's the healthcare?
The healthcare's terrible. I mean,
How's the
I'm
education?
frustrated. The education, again, yeah, the education. Do you know what the most frustrating thing for me is with regards to the NHS is that my father worked in the NHS for what 30, almost 40 years, right? And the NHS was the pride and joy of the UK, right? Free healthcare for everyone, and they just ruined it because I don't know. I think maybe an oversimplification, but greedy politicians just wanted to line their own pockets, line the pockets of their friends, and reduce funding into the NHS, and that's what's caused the downfall of the West. But compared again to countries like the UAE, yes, you don't have free healthcare. You do have, I think, there's women and children only hospitals, isn't there?
Yes, there are.
Where they get easy access, right? But then even then, their healthcare is still easily accessible, and it's very high level.
Yeah.
Very high level. It's not expensive.
It's the other way around here. The government hospitals are the high-end hospitals.
Mm.
The private ones, there are some private that are really high-end as well, but the private ones are like okay-ish as well, the cheaper ones. However, the government facilities are top-notch. Top-notch. Right? I mean, if you have to get those hospitals on your insurance packages, right? You have to pay quite a bit. But from experience from the past 12 months, I've had to go to the hospital for a few family members. And not just the past few months, to be honest. I mean, this is for years I've been noticing it. My mom got into an accident where, she had to be rushed to the hospital for like 3 procedures simultaneously. It was an accident, bad accident. But alhamdulillah, she was fine after that. And then there was an episode with one of my aunts, and then one of my uncles, one of my cousin brothers. So my point is that these people are there, right? The ambulance is there. You call them. Like I had an issue a few months ago where I was at work and something happened at home, and I just got in my car, I started rushing, and I called the ambulance on the way, and they were there before I reached, right? And I was like 10 minutes away. I was literally 10 minutes away, and they reached before I did. And by the time I entered the house, one of the guys is like, "Calm down," because I came running. I was like, "What?" Like, "Calm down, it's fine." And I saw the other woman checking my daughter, and alhamdulillah, it was they did immediate. They had everything ready, tests, blah 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 blah. All right, and they said, okay, you don't need to take her to the hospital right now if you want to. I mean, if you don't want to, but we suggest that you do. We can take her along. So they give you these options, right? They're so like straight up. If it was serious, they would have said, no, we need to take her now. Yeah? So really fast, really effective. And that particular episode, I wasn't charged for. They didn't even ask me my insurance. They didn't ask me my insurance. They didn't ask me for any money. Nothing. Nothing.
That's the situation of a real free country, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, if they would have, if it was something very serious, I'm sure that they would have taken us to the hospital, and then they would have taken our insurance.
But in terms of a country that has the priorities right.
Oh, exactly. They don't tell you, oh, fill this form first. Or give us your thumbprint here first. You know what I mean? Or sign here just in case.
So we're talking about you're doing leasing, and then you went into managing leasing full buildings, right?
Complete buildings, yeah.
Talked about that
Now that was again, it was like a more like a vacation home style maintenance. Like I was maintaining it like that, where we were renewing the contracts every month, and obviously, what that gave me was that gave me the edge over certain areas, especially the high demand areas. I could increase the rents, right, as per the price, the market price, right? So I wouldn't be stuck with a certain price. Obviously, depending on case by case basis, I wouldn't increase the rent for everyone or immediately. You know, I'd probably wait for like a few of them stayed with me for years. They just kept renewing their contract every month. You know what I mean? It was as simple as a few clicks on the phone. Boom, done. Um, so that worked out really well. But then again, you know, it was more like it's a cash flow business. Gets you more of the cash flow. So you take that money and
It
you
felt
put
like
it into
it did. It wasn't growing you significant capital.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And because I was in that business, obviously, you know, you are then your friends know that you're in that business, and then they call you. What do you think I can do with this property? Like he owned a few properties, and he called me up, and he's like, "What do you think I can do with this property? Blah blah. You think I can do Airbnb with that? You think I can do the vacation home rentals with that? No, blah blah blah. Like, send me the address. I'll go and check it out." So one night I started checking out these properties for him, and then he introduced me to another few friends of his, and it kind of went into this a web of different apartments that I suddenly started inheriting.
At this point, were you working for yourself or were you working for a company?
I was working for myself at that time. I was working for myself at that time, where I was just doing subleasing, right? And then I kind of, the same guys, these people, they own apartments, right? They own apartments, they own villas. And one of them is like, can you give me details about this project, which is going to get launched in a couple of months or next month or something? I remember it was an Imar project. I was like, yeah, sure. Tell me, what do you want? So he gave me like bits and pieces and dribs and drabs. And I went out, I started talking to someone I know who knew someone in Imar. And I got all the information for the project. And while I was at the Imar office, I got more information about some other similar projects. And I just went, I met him for a chai. We discussed it. And then he's like, I think I'm going to go for this. And he's like, what do you think? And at that time, I did the research as if I was going to invest. Would I put my money into this? You know, simple as that. And one of them I thought was a really good bet. You know, that apartment has about tripled now, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, that apartment has tripled.
When was that?
This was a while ago. This was Dubai Hills.
Dubai Hills, yeah.
Dubai Hills, yeah. So yeah, he bought the apartment at the time. But then again, at that time was when that person in Imar put it in my head. Why don't you get your agent's license, your rare license?
Wow.
You know, you can earn money on this. You know what I mean? This is your client. He's signing because you told him to sign. You know? So that's when I gave it some thought. I was like, all right, I'm going to play it calm. I'm not going to go run out and get my own license because I already have a lot of work. I already have a lot of my subleasing work going on, right? I had just gotten rid of my skincare distribution business just then. And I had some additional time on my hands, right? So I was like, all right, I'm going to go and check this out. So I joined the company, right? And I was working with them for a little while. The main reason I joined them was to get mentorship, to learn, right? I wasn't chasing the leads. I had a bucket load of leads.
When was this?
This was a few years ago. This is about 2019, just around that time. Right?
So what I'm hearing, bro, is that
2018, 2019, around that time.
So what I'm hearing, Gibran, is that you are not shy to look for mentorship, right? At whatever stage in your career. That's a really powerful asset.
Let's be honest, bro. Let's be honest. The school system doesn't teach us to learn and grow in business. The schooling system, especially when we were younger, and especially like, I studied in India for quite a while as well in boarding school and stuff. They teach you how to do your, the formulas and this and that. But half the time they don't get to business till you have reached college. Right. And then you have to take a subject for business. I'm talking about my age, like our age, right? Our time. So mentorship was something that I felt was imperative so that I don't get caught off guard and I don't lose because by this time I had run 3 businesses, lost 2 of them, like shut down 2 of them, right? Keeping that in mind, mentorship is something I value even today. I'm 40, man. By the way, I'm still under different people's mentorship right now. Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
But you're 100% right about the schooling system. Right? Their focus is on fucking complex maths equations, and I ask myself, yeah, fair enough. Obviously, we need to know how to count, right? But beyond the moderately complex stuff, right? What use has that come to? If I'd been taught business skills, sales, marketing, what position would we be in? Like 13, 14 years old. Can you imagine being taught of sales psychology and marketing psychology? That is infinitely more powerful to a lot more avenues of jobs and careers than, like complex algebra.
If I was taught basic negotiation skills and sales skills back when I was 13, 14, I would have 9 to 10 figures in my account right now. You know
absolutely.
what I mean? And this is why I kind of, I focus on telling my kids, I made sure they took business studies because it's available now. In the 9th and the 10th grade, I was like, you better take business studies. You need to know this. And then they also, it's brilliant nowadays, the kind of subjects they have. They have travel and tourism as well. You know, how the travel and tourism industry works in different parts of the world, what you need to focus on.
In Dubai schooling,
In
right?
Dubai schooling, yes.
They also have implemented AI into their curriculum as well, hasn't it?
I know. My daughter comes up to me.
We can complain about the schooling system, but in Dubai, they don't mess around.
Oh my
right?
God, they do not mess around.
It's genius, such a good idea.
Oh my God, I was like, well, I think my younger one, she was in the 8th, and then she had to select her subjects, because the subjects were changing and everything. And then she comes to me because we have a friendly kind of a relationship, right? I mean, they make fun of me, I make fun of them, typical. And they're like, what subjects do I take? I was like, what's the use? You're going to fail anyways. She's like, no, I'm serious. Stop it. And then I saw the subjects. And then she asked me, she's like, what do you think if I take business? I was like, yes. She's like, yeah, I thought you'd say yes. Then she's like, what do you think about travel and tourism? I was like, yes. Because you learn about different cultures and things like that. So yeah, I think out of 8 subjects that she has, I think one is business, the other is economics. One of them is travel tourism. And there's one other interesting one, something to do with AI and computers. I think AI was implemented in their curriculum, I think, last year. And yeah, man, I was so happy.
How incredible and powerful it would be for our children to learn those skills. Essentially, the way I look at it is that it took me to my 30s to develop these skills in sales, communication, and marketing, which apply to so many different areas of life. Imagine we can pass that on to our children. Yes, obviously in school, they're going to get some amazing subjects like this, right? But even if you're able to pass down to your children some of the skills and the knowledge that you've learned in your career, at the age of like 10, 11, 12 years old, can you imagine what position our children are going to be in?
That gives them a whole different edge to the game. And let's be honest, every generation that's passing by, it's getting more competitive. You know what I mean? I'm talking in the tech area. I'm talking in the banking area. I'm talking in the finance or AI or construction or contracting or media. I mean, who knew when we were growing up there would be a job title as an influencer?
I still hate that title, but
content creator. What are you creating? Content.
Yeah.
Right? And then I didn't realize that until I got into it. Like, for example, you have to have a separate person who does your script writing. You have to have a separate person who shoots and cuts your edit. Not edits it, but cuts the edit.
Yeah.
And then you need a separate person who focuses on the editing. And then if you want any graphics, there's a separate person for CGI. There's a separate person for VGA, and then ABB, DVD, XYZ. I mean, oh my God. And I was like, I thought I was a tech geek
Yeah.
just because I bought a new phone every few years or I bought a new laptop every few years. I was like, nah, man. Now technology is evolving every few months. Every week or every month, I'm seeing something new. I mean, our kids need to be ready for this, man. They need to be ready for this. You can make billions and leave it to your kids. You can do that. You can make billions and leave it for them. But by the time their kids are inheriting it, they'll have nothing.
100%.
If they aren't ready.
I believe that children shouldn't be, sons at least, right? I believe it should be a little bit easier for daughters because they shouldn't be required to go out and earn. But sons should have to make their own success first. And then once they've achieved a significant level of success, then they have earned any potential inheritance. I don't believe in giving my children, my sons at least, anything.
No, I
They've
agree with
earned
you,
it
man.
themselves.
I've worked with people who come from well-to-do families, right? And no matter how religious they are, no matter how accomplished they are, they have this sense of arrogance in them
Entitlement.
and entitlement.
I have
Exactly.
to work for my money.
And then they say, oh, I got myself here. No, you wouldn't if your father didn't invest in you. Let's be honest, right? So I have a thing for people. I mean, you can call me biased or whatever, but when I hear someone who's gone up from nothing, my respect for them starts here. Before I've met that, right? As I know, he's grown up. But if I know that someone has been handed down something, right? And they're maintaining it. They're just maintaining it.
They're not
right?
anything themselves.
It's exactly. But then again, look, we do have those gems.
Yeah, of course.
Let's look at the what's his name in India, man? Dhirubhai Ambani's son, Anant Ambani, right? He 100x the company?
What business is that?
Reliance. They have their industries. They're in hundreds of different things.
Okay.
The point is, the father came up from nothing. He was
Yes.
working in Qatar as a petrol pump attendant, right? He grew the business. He started the business. He got it to a certain point. And then his son took over. When his son took over, he probably 100x'd the business. He went into every industry that you can think of.
That is most likely because his father taught him those skills, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's not,
Exactly. So, the point is a very interesting story where both the same father, he had two sons, and both of them started arguing about the property and the money and the company and stuff like that. So one of the sons, he took the money. He targeted to get the money. And while they were having this thing, and the other son, the successful one right now, he targeted to get the right team. He wanted to inherit the team, right? The people, because that's what his father invested in. That's what he knew that's where I need to invest. And he's gone up, and the other one who targeted money, he's almost down to nil. The point is that no matter how much we do back and forth, it all comes down to the mindset of the person and the individual himself. So entitlement, it doesn't rub right with me. You know what I mean? And especially in Dubai, you find a lot of that because I'll tell you, because most of the people who came here working in the first generation, they made their fortune. And then you have people who've come in afterwards, like the generation that's come in the last 10 years, right?
The expats.
Again. So you had the first generation expats that came in here, they got married, like for example, my father, right? Came in here, started working, getting his fortune up and down, up and down. So you have those people who understand the struggle of Dubai, people who lived here for a long time, they understand the struggle of Dubai. You'd probably see in some of my posts on Instagram about Dubai Kid, hashtag Dubai Kid, stuff that Dubai kids resonate with, right? And then you have this new entire generation that's come in the past few years or past decade, where, their fathers were, or their family members were really powerful and rich back home. And they've come here trying to see what they can do. And I feel, those are the kind of people that are bringing that arrogance along with them. You know what I mean? People who've been raised here, they have, at least most of them who I have seen, right? They have a sense of humbleness in them, or it's instilled in them. You know, the culture here instills it in you. And no matter how big you are, and like, you know, like many people say online, Dubai humbles you. No matter you drive a Lamborghini, you drive a Ferrari, you drive a Maserati, you drive a, you know, Bentley, there's always going to be someone bigger than you. There's always going to be someone richer than you. You walk into the gym thinking, oh, you are the gangster and you've spent years making this body. Someone else bigger is going to walk in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at least in Dubai, forget the gym part, but in terms of wealth, there's always someone bigger than you now. There's always someone bigger than you. You have people who've come here, made $1 billion empires, and then they've fallen because they let the success get to their heads. Right? It interfered with their basic capacity, I think. So I think, that's one of the things I love about this place.
It's very diverse, isn't it? In the way that the people that you get.
But you had the opportunity. I mean, come on. How many G classes do you see on the road? How many? How many Lambos and Huracans and Urus and what do you call that? Ferraris you see on the road, Bentleys and Rolls Royces. Every day. You see one of those cars somewhere back in India or, you know, in the UK or something. Wow. It feels like, No, it's Lambo. No, my daughter the other day, right? She's like, she hates Teslas, by the way, for obvious reasons. So there was a Tesla going by, and then it's like, Dad, look at that. And then she calls it a certain very offensive name. And then there was a Lambo that was just behind it. And then she's like, oh, Lambo. And then it's like, hey, it's an SVJ. And I'm like, you know what an SVJ is? It's like, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think you stay and then you start understanding the small little things. Like,
my son is exactly the same, right? So he's 4 and he knows the name of every single car. Like, and you'll be able to call it from the corner, but like down the road when I've not even caught sight of it, he'll know the name, right? And I think I've rented some cars from one of our partners, Allah Mubarak, Premier. And so we take him out in these nice cars. And what I'm trying to do is I know he loves cars and I know he loves fast cars and supercars, etc. But what I'm trying to do is try to desensitize him to understand that, listen, these are fun. They're toys at the end of the day. They don't bring long-term happiness. I want you to enjoy them. You can love cars as much as you want, but don't put any of your self-worth in these cars, in material goods. The self-worth comes from hard work, building competency, achieving things, being the best version of yourself in terms of deen and dunya, obviously, right? Making sure that you don't allow any of this to go to your head. Nothing is from Allah. I was literally speaking to my friend yesterday. His name's Anti-Taxman. Allah Mubarak.
I think I saw him on your story.
He's down there, actually. Allah Mubarak. And what I was saying to him is that, subhanAllah, over the last few years, every time my income has taken a significant jump, right? Alhamdulillah, my parents raised me to be very sensible, down to earth, etc., and not egotistical. But every time my income has jumped up to a new level, I felt a little tinge of something, right? And almost consistently, every time my income jumps up, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala humbles me, right? It bumps up, and then I'm thinking, well, okay, this is it. I'm going to be hitting these numbers for every month now for the rest of my life. And then Allah humbles me, right? So just to remind me, calm down, behave yourself, right? You're not all that you think you are. It's not you that gave you this. It's me, right? Subhanallah. And then it jumps up again. And then that tiny, again, not massive ego, but that tiny tinge of ego is lessened, but it's still there. And then Allah humbles me again. Just to remind me that, listen, calm down. Remember, I will give you success in time, but behave and don't allow it to get to your head. And now, alhamdulillah, as things jump up, I'm feeling less of that wow, I'm a G, I'm a Don. You know? I'm feeling less of that. I'm feeling, subhanAllah, this is from Allah. I need to keep my feet on the ground, keep my head out of the clouds, and understand that this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He can take this away from me at any point. So I'm just going to roll with the punches. I'm going to flow, and I'm going to keep on working hard and keep on scaling. And I think one of the major keys to that is having a bigger goal, a mission, right? I think we can have obviously a mission to provide for ourselves, which is the base just to survive. And then the next level up is to provide for your family, a comfortable living. And that's a very good goal. But then after that, you need to have much bigger goals. You need to have much bigger missions to provide for the ummah, to help people stand up, right? Like you're doing with your young team member, Allahumma barik. What opportunities will these guys have if we don't give them opportunities?
100%.
Isn't that amazing? The opportunity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you to be a vehicle for someone else's success that they would not have had if it wasn't for you.
See, that's the thing, right? In today's world, most of the people just want to squeeze all the juice out of you. They just want to squeeze. And brother, how old are you now? MashaAllah.
I'm 33.
33, MashaAllah. 7 more years. Very, 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 about 7 years apart, right? And I'll tell you this. When I was that age, around 30, 33, 34, and I was like, I'm the G when I used to hit a few deals here or that. And, I kept a big commission. Because obviously I was always doing deals outside as well. And every person that I tried to work with, I realized most of the time, not all, but most of them, were trying to squeeze as much work out of me as possible. We're trying to squeeze as much as juice out of me as possible, right? And I think that is why my previous few partnerships didn't work out. Because what happens is the mindset has to match, right? For me, the reason why I try my best, right? I mean, let's be honest. I'm not going to start providing for them. Let's be honest. I'm going to give people the opportunity as much as I can do within my power, within the small little place that I am in, right? Because we're nothing in front of him. The point is, I will do as much as possible. But then again, it is on the other person to take that opportunity and run with it, or take the opportunity and then take advantage of it after some time.
I remember we were having a discussion about team building and choosing team members. And what it came down to it from the guys who were very, very experienced, they said that over almost everything else, it comes down to having the right ethos from team members. If a team member doesn't have the skills or the knowledge, but they have the ethos and the work ethic, they will learn the skills. But someone who doesn't have the ethos but has all the skills, you can't replace that ethos. Can't replace that work ethic from someone who's not motivated.
You can't do anything about a will issue. A skill issue, you can work on it. A will issue, you can't do anything about it.
Very true.
Right? So I'm okay with hiring freshers, man. I'm okay with having freshers on my team as long as they are determined to work. You know what I mean? And correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think people who usually come in from from poor backgrounds, usually are the ones that I see that, want to put in more of the effort. People who've seen a hard time, they've seen their parents go through hard times. You know what I mean? I think that humbleness comes in from them. But again, even with those kind of people, I've noticed that when the money starts coming in, that ting comes in, you know what I mean?
Because they've not been raised with that understanding of how to manage money, and maybe the money gets, well, wow, I've never seen this much money before.
Exactly.
It's common.
So I think it's a good thing that I have had the opportunity to work with a lot of young, aspiring young men, and I try my best, because when you work with me, buddy, it's there's no love but tough love.
100%.
I'm not gonna pat you on your back just because you had a good call. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna tell you, oh, you can do it. No, you know what I mean? You're gonna get tough love from me, obviously, but you're still gonna have my support no matter what. No matter what. Right?
What's the vision for now? What are your main projects currently, and what are you working on? And from the real estate side.
So from the real estate side, you have to. Yeah, let's talk about the real estate side, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
The market here is going nowhere but up. Let's just
Let's put away any fears that people have, because this is one of the first things people ask me when outside of the UAE, when we talk about real estate in the UAE. Or what about a crash? What happens if there's a crash?
what's a crash? Define a crash for me. What do you think the crash is? Same like 2009, 2008? Do you think that is going to happen? Why did that happen? That happened because of the credit crunch. Why did that affect us, the UAE, Dubai? Why? Because there were people who were buying apartments with 0% down payment on 100% finances, right? Where the developers were building buildings without putting any, they were announcing projects without putting any money into the bank, right? They were just putting a small fee, whatever it is, to launch the project. That's why these people were stuck. That's why the credit crunch happened, at least here, it affected here. Because come on, bro, I knew someone who was working on a mid-level job and had 2 apartments. She had 2.
And she was paying them down by mortgages.
Yeah, she was paying them down by mortgage, right?
Off plan.
Off plan.
Right.
Yeah, no. Sorry, ready. Sorry, that one was ready. The off plan ones, what I'm saying is, with the off plan was developers were announcing projects, launching projects, taking payments from people, but there was no safety net. Now, I'll address each of these individually to you, right? Let's talk about ready. Now, you can't get a mortgage more than 50% of your total earnings. So if, for example, if your salary is 10,000 dirhams a month, right? And let's say you're a good boy, you don't have any credit card, you don't have any loan on your accounts, and you have 10,000 coming in hand. Now, what you do with it in terms of rent and school fees and whatnot, that's your thing. But 10,000 net without any commitments to the banks is coming in your hand. So you can get a loan up to 5,000 dirhams with some terms and conditions applied, right? If your income on a monthly basis is 30,000 dirhams, you can get a mortgage amount that is going up to 15,000 per month.
Okay.
Right? And then you have to give down payment. A minimum down payment today's time is 20%. That's just to show that you're damn serious about it.
And then the developers?
I'm coming to that one. So this is in terms of the ready projects, right? Now, let's move on to the ones that are off plan, that are under construction. The first thing that developers need to do after getting all their approvals, they have their design approval, they have bought, they have to buy the land. No more financing, my friend. If you want to start a development company, you have to own that piece of land outright, 100%. You know what I mean? No financed, no loans on that piece of land.
Brilliant way to do it.
Yeah, it gets better. You have to own that piece of land. You have to pay for all the approvals and everything that needs to be paid for. And then you have to open an escrow account. For those people who do not know what an escrow account is, it's basically another account, which is a separate account altogether, which is not in the control of the developer directly. It is controlled by the government entities, right? And any money, say you or I, buy in the off-plan projects, when we pay, if anyone takes your money and asks you to put it in their personal account, don't do that. You have to put it in the escrow account. Yes, there will be a certain booking amount that goes to the developer, right? The booking amount usually is the 4% DLD charge that we have to pay. The DLD is the Dubai Land Department. That's the tax that we charge, and the Dubai charges here, which is 4% fixed for all properties, new or secondary or whatever. 4% is fixed. Then you have a small admin fees that ranges between 3,000 to 5,000 to 6,000 dirhams. It's like an admin fee. It's called Qukul, right? Differs on certain projects, differs on developers. And then the rest of your down payments and your installments that come in after every 3 months or every 6 months has to go in the escrow account. Now, why the escrow account? When the developer starts building the project and they reach a certain percentage, for example, they reach 15%, right? A certain amount is released from that escrow account and given to the developer. And then the developer can pay the contractor, then pay everyone whatever they need to. Then the building needs to come up another certain percentage, 20%, 25%, whatever. then the authorities release another amount from the escrow that goes to the developer. So all of that money in the escrow doesn't go directly to the developer. They have to continue building the project. So that incentivizes them to build faster. That's why now you will see projects that are finishing before the handover date. There are some that are delayed as well. Let's be honest, right?
That's always going to happen.
Very, very human. This is normal.
Yeah.
But there are some projects that deliver beforehand. There's a project I'm working on in Maidan South. And I sold a lot of apartments there last year to my investors. And I went there a couple of days ago to get a video. Buildings, man, it's up. The entire structure is up. They're already working on the interiors. And this was less than 15 months ago. Less than 15 months ago. And it's not one building, it's 4.
Wow.
It's a small little community living style, 4 buildings. But they're already up, right? And it's about 6 floors, including the roof. So they have a date of finishing by end of 2026. But I know for a fact they're going to be done by early 2026, maybe Q2, right? The way they're going. So that again brings me to the point where make sure that credit crunch or the crash that people talk about, right? These risks that were there in 2008, 2009 have already been mitigated, right? So that's not going to happen again. Right. Now, let's talk about a correction.
A correction, yeah.
Right? The perfect term for that would be a correction. Yes, a correction will come. But again, it's not going to be affecting Dubai as a whole or UAE as a whole. It's going to affect certain areas, certain projects, certain buildings, right? Because now let's be honest, man. I live here. There's no price correction over here, at least, right? In the last 3 years, I think my rent's gone up by 30,000 overall, or I think 28,000 in the last 3 years. Every time I've renewed, they've increased a little. Because they're keeping up with the market.
Yeah.
Right. So, but then again, a new tenant moved into my building. I think it was last month, right? And I know this because his car is parked right next to mine. Right? It was a new car. I was like, oh, YG, nice. And I was like, oh, which one is that? 63. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Which model is that? Looks like a 17. Okay. We're men. We look at this stuff. And then I was just, talking to the guards and, like, oh, that guy's moved in, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah. Like, so which apartment? So he moved into exactly the same layout as mine, but about 6 floors below me.
Okay.
Right. And I asked him how much was the rent, and he told me the rent, and it was 30,000 more than mine.
Oh,
30,000. They're about 33,000, 34,000 more than mine. So when I consider my rent going up in the past 3 years, I'm very happy because they're still charging me less than market price.
Does Dubai have a similar system as Sharjah, where they're not allowed to increase the rent for 3 years or something?
No, they can increase the rent from the next year. They can increase it annually. But the thing is, they do it within reason. There's a rental index they need to follow.
Oh, okay.
Right? There's a rental index, which is online, available for everyone.
They can't just increase it crazily.
No, just because he wants to. No, those days are gone.
And there's one for Sharjah as well?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Don't get me wrong, bro. I don't focus on Sharjah much. So I'm feeling there. Even though I've lived there for 6 months, I came running back. The apartment was fantastic, sea view and everything. But the getting there and getting out.
Yeah. If you need, this is the what I say to anyone who says that they are moving to they're considering moving to Sharjah, is that if you need to be in Dubai more than maybe 3 or more days a week, don't live in Sharjah, right? In my humble opinion, if you are location independent, you don't need to be in Dubai more than 2 days a week. Sharjah is amazing.
It is.
If you need to commute, it's a nightmare. The commuting until they add more highways and fix the traffic situation is just horrible.
They have some really beautiful projects in Sharjah. I was looking at some waterfront villas.
Yeah.
I was looking at some other villa communities.
There's the
Sharjah.
Masar.
Beautiful. And Arada. And oh my God.
I think that one
Beautiful
that
project.
looks unbelievable. So it's full forest living, and then the roads and the car parks are underground. That's so
They have
cool.
similar concepts in Dubai as well.
Yeah.
With building
Are any fully built yet?
sustainable city.
That has underground.
Some of it, parts
Excellent.
of it, parts of it. Yeah. Then they have another project, Golf Woods, that's coming up, but it's buildings.
As well.
It's residential buildings. Yeah.
Okay.
All the parking is going to be underground. But then again, yeah, it's going to be hectic in that basement.
Yeah.
It's going to
that's
be
true.
hectic in that basement.
Mm.
But I don't know. The thing is, when growing up in Dubai, I've seen vast open spaces. Even if it's a patch of desert, who cares? It's an open space. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And as the development is speeding up day by day and month by month, I mean, you would never expect certain plots that, a building is going to come over here. Oh, shucks. They've quarantined it off. Now, they're going to start doing whatever. So I think if I look at myself living, if I want to live, I would definitely want to live a little bit away from the hustle bustle of the city, right? Not in Sharjah, mainly because I have to come to Dubai almost on a daily basis, right? So I'd probably look at a few communities which are like 15 minutes away from the city center, man.
I think Damac Hills 2 is very popular.
It's popular because of the price point.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's no one's gonna touch that price point at the moment. No one can touch the price.
And why is it that at that price point?
They just want to rule in that industry, in that segment.
Okay.
No one can touch them in that specific segment.
What about location wise? And what's best location wise?
I mean, let's be honest. You got Damac here, you got Imar there, you got everyone's like next to each other. You know what I mean? It's not very far away. If you actually calculate it, the amount of time you spend in your car will be like 5 minutes apart, 10 minutes apart. You know what I mean? I mean, you got Damac Hills 1 and you got Damac Lagoons. And then just ahead of that, you got the Oasis coming up by Imar. Then you have the Polo coming up by Imar. Then opposite that is Tilal al-Ghaf. Then on the other side, you have Arabian Ranches 2. Next to Arabian Ranches 2, you have Sustainable City. In the front of Arabian Ranches 2, you have Arabian Ranches 1. Just a little ahead of that, you have Arabian Ranches 3. A little ahead of that, you have the Villa. Then you have the Haptur Polo Club. I mean, they're right next to each other. Literally 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And they're connected with highways, right? So when anyone tells me, the Mac Hills 2 is so far away. Okay. And this is the guy who was potentially considering to buy in a project called Town Square, which is pretty much as far as the Mac Hills 2.
Yeah.
Right? Town Square and the Mac Hills 2 are literally 6 to 7 minutes away. And you don't even have to rush. Normal speed. Right? Like I had a friend. He wanted to buy at that time. And at the same time, cousin of mine was looking at buying property as well. So we were considering because both of them wanted to go for townhouse. Both of them townhouse. Fine, townhouse. Then we looked at Town Square. Town Square, which is also known as Nashama. Right? We looked at the townhouse over there. All right, price was brilliant for the size. Brilliant. I mean, brilliant. Right? Both of them got their townhouse, 3-bedroom townhouse. I think it was about 900,000. 900,000 dirhams. They got their townhouse. And it was a little further away. It took them 20 minutes from their office. Does it matter? Right? It has its own little mall inside. It's got everything inside. It's got a clinic. It's got everything you need is inside. That's to live comfortably. Right? And it's not that it's expensive. Budget friendly. Everything is budget friendly. Right? They bought it. And they sold it earlier this year. Both of them. They more than quadrupled their money. 4x. Because again, even though they bought it for 900K, they took a mortgage on that. So they didn't end up paying the entire amount. But when they sold it, so the equity that they had parked into that by the time, they had recovered that and 4 times that. You know what I mean? So there are certain, if you actually look at the actual value of the property, it's about 3x.
Okay, I want to ask you about the mortgage situation in the UAE. You can get they're mostly halal mortgages,
Islamic finance.
Islamic finance, right? And then there are some brothers that I know that are able to negotiate out late fees and things like that to
Yeah.
make it 100% Sharia compliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We work with a few brokers,
yeah.
mortgage brokers, right?
Oh.
And we work closely with them, and we focus only on the halal finance, right? Just because we want to, right? We don't focus so much on the conventional finance because we have our reasons.
Yeah.
But it's not been, we've not had an issue as such with any of the financing where they couldn't, ask for a certain document and then reapply and then get, it's not been rejected as such unless you have another personal loan and 4 credit cards and a car finance on your name. Then it becomes a little risky.
Yeah.
Right. Apart from that, if you have a good credit score
Yeah.
and you have a decent income, but I
Then
think
it's not gonna be
10,000, 15,000 dirhams, 10,000 dirhams, you can get a mortgage.
Excellent.
It's fine.
Jabbar, if you had to pick one area of Dubai, right, to buy a property in for the highest capital growth, where would you pick? Do you think is the best area in Dubai?
Depends on my appetite.
Okay.
All depends on my appetite. It depends on how much money I have to invest. So I'll tell you something. Let's start baby steps, right? If you're a brand new investor, brand new, right? Your budget's around 1.5, right? 1.5, 1.6, which is normal nowadays, right? You start at $1 million, $1.1 million, but a good budget to start with is 1.5.
Yeah.
I would put it down in today's market. I'll put it down in 2 places. If I had that, I'll give you an A and a B option. My option A today would be Maidan, District 11.
Okay.
Hands down. Hands down.
On what?
That area, I'll tell you what. See, now that Indian side of me kicks in, right? You look at that entire area. Look at the entire area. Look at the future of that area, right? First thing that will come to mind, 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes away from the city center. We consider Dubai Mall, Burj Khalifa as the city center, right? It's less than 15 minutes away from there, District 11. Second gate. You are neighbors with His Highness Sheikh Hamdan. His palace is there in that area, right? Third, you are neighbors with villa communities. To name a few, you have Opal by Nakheel. You have Sanctuary by Ellington. You have Bentley Villas by Mira. You have Wadi Villas by Arista. You have Riviera. You have Watercrest by Ellington. You are neighbors to these massive villa communities. And when I say massive, I don't mean in terms of size. I mean in terms of their value. Because these villas started at 25 million. And most of them are sold out. I think 90% or 95% is sold out. And the 1 or 2 that have come back is probably come because people couldn't keep up with the payments and it came on cancellation or something like that. Right? So you'd be neighbors with these villas, people living in these villas. Secondly, third, they have a very select few plots that they're allowing apartment buildings to come up with. But only low rise, 5 floors. That's it. That's it. Not a lot of noise. They don't want to stuff it.
So maximum 5 floors.
Maximum 5 floors. And then the roof. That's it. So you have your gym, your pool, and everything is on the roof, usually. Right? Apart from that, you have lagoons, you have gardens that are for the master community, which is District 11. Maidan District 11. Now, apart from being neighbors with His Highness, obviously, if you're neighbors with him, that entire area is going to have more focus. You know what I mean? In terms of infrastructure, everything, generally. That's what I look at, right? Obviously, every single area has been focused on by the municipality and everything. But over here, the focus will be a little bit more strict. Second, when you are living next to a community where the villas cost 25 to 40 million, you're living in a certain crowd, a certain caliber of people, right? Now, when you live in that particular caliber of people, the entire area's value is not just going up, but there's a certain calmness about the area. They don't like noise.
Whoa.
Coins jingle. You know what I mean? Notes don't. That's the other thing. The other thing would be there are already established communities there where you have Medan South villas. The top-notch staff from Emirates Airlines and some other industry companies live in the Medan South villas. Already living there, right? Then you have two of the most, I wouldn't say most, but really good two schools that are already there, operational now. One of them is Laïch de Lebanos. It's a very famous Lebanese school. And then you have Kent College. You know Kent College, right? Operational. It's there right now. It's people are going. The kids are going there, right? So you have all of this, and then this entire area, the villas, are scheduled to be delivered by 2026 and 2027. And what happens? When is the best time for an area to increase its value? Is when people start coming in living.
Yes.
That's when the value in the property sees the highest jump, right? If all these properties are going to be handing over in 2026, most of them are going to be handing over in 2026. People are going to start coming and living there or renting it out, right? So again, the value is going to go off, right? So the projects that I am focusing on are delivering around the same time, 2026, 2027, right? And now is the time that you'll get the cheapest deal over there. When I say cheapest, 1.2 to 1.5, 1.6 for a one bedroom and a study, right? But by the time it's ready, I can forecast approximately, being modest, right? Being modest, I think it's going to go up about 20 to 25% in value.
When people start moving in.
By the time it's handing over. Then that's area A. Area B would be Jaddaf. Area B would be Jaddaf for about 1.3 to 1.5 million dirham investment. Apartments. You can get Burj Khalifa facing apartments here. It's going to be centrally located in Jaddaf. Plus the Etihad rail station is going to be here.
Yeah.
They've announced another metro station. They've announced. We go out in Jaddaf right now, you will see the infrastructure coming out. Be it the footpath, be it everything that's being constructed, like left, right, and center. They're going full speed ahead, man. Full speed ahead. Parkings, blah, blah, blah. Everything is coming up. They've already allotted another plot for the mosque, new plot for the mosque. It's going to be crazy in the next few years. There's nothing going to be available here in the next few years. These are the two that I would suggest for new investors to get into. No need to stress. No worries. Small investment, no problem. If I had anywhere between 10 to 15 million to invest, dirhams, 10 to 15 million dirhams, I would put my money, part of that I'd put it in a villa, an independent standing villa, right, in one of these bigger communities. Now, getting the right villa in these communities is a pain. When I say right villa, you need the right, the villa needs to be facing another garden or something rather than facing another villa. It needs to, be in close proximity to the clubhouse and the pool and the masjid, things like that. You need to make sure that you have the right consultant by your side to make sure that these things are not overlooked. So definitely I would invest in some villas and some townhouses. But if I had bigger money than that, 25 plus, then I would probably look at the Palm. Because that is not slowing down, my friend.
Including Jebel?
That's the Palm I'd look at. Because let's be honest, the Palm Jumeirah right now, we're doing 2 projects in renovation over there, by the way. And the prices are not below 50 for certain properties. And I saw a villa, I think you must have seen it on my stories a few days ago, where there was a koi pond inside the villa. That one was for 77 million.
Oof, unbelievable.
5 bedrooms, 77 million. I mean, it was on the billionaires row. So yeah. But then again, I would focus on, if I had 25 and above, I would put my money on Palm Jabal. I would put my bet on Palm Jabal. Purely because of the success of the Palm Jamal. And Palm Jabal Ali is bigger, it's better, it's got more infrastructure, it's got wider roads, the fronts are longer and wider. They've got more amenities within the property. Obviously, you have the Marina 2.0 coming up at the foot of it.
Okay, yes.
So if you are okay to put in your money, wait for another, say, if I'm being modest again, would look at doubling that in the next few years in value.
It's some very, very good investments right there. Allah Mubarak. Gibran, thank you so much. This will be phenomenal.
brother.
So much good information. Allah Mubarak. I think this is going to be really, really valuable to the viewers. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much, inshallah.
brother.
Jazakallah khairan to my amazing guest, Abdul Gibran. Thank you so much. He's an absolute encyclopedia of information. If you want any more information on these projects, you want to follow Gibran, you can follow him on his socials. Will all be put in the description and the comments. And obviously, if you are a professional, you're a dentist who wants to learn how to invest, wants to understand all of these different areas of the investment markets, listen, you need to take the time now. The markets are moving very, very quickly, and you are going to be left behind if you don't start taking time now to learn how to invest. Okay, so either learn now or keep on procrastinating, and you're just going to start later on, and you're going to be far behind the people that start before you. Okay, so listen, this is something that you cannot procrastinate, something that everyone should be doing, at least learning, taking the steps to understand how the investment markets work so that you can multiply your money. Inflation is eating away at your money, eating away at your hard-earned income. Okay, so stop wasting time. Get started now. Everything that you need to know is in the description, and inshallah, we will speak to you very, very soon. Assalamu alaikum.